Hi everyone, I am Tara, aka Spirit Mother, and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel. If you're on YouTube, Spirit to Spirit Teachings of Going With Itself, on TikTok, 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. The content that I bring forward can be very sensitive to a lot of people. If you're new to my channel, I always suggest or recommend that you go in and read the description on my YouTube channel to get a better what it is that I bring forward. I will that I a lot of the time I use my own experiences to bring forward. So, like I said, I talk about a lot of sensitive topics. Sometimes it's world events, sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's about my own experiences through life. And today, what I'm talking about is the challenges that a rape victim faces. Okay, I've been sexually assaulted, and I've been raped. I've been roofied. And what brought this on today? Because I have talked about sexual abuse and sexual assaults and what have you other times. And on Saturday, I brought forward with regards to true confessions and what have you. Now, there on Saturday when I brought forward about what is a true confession, I shared an experience that I went through in Alberta in 2020. Now, today it come to the surface with my ex-husband, okay? He may not like what I bring forward, but it's that part of the healing, okay? And it was triggered by, we were listening to, there was a song on the radio, and it triggered him. It triggered him into going back when I had cheated on him in 2011 while we were still married, and a year later, we were divorced. It got triggered. And it was like, no, like you're going to talk to me about this. And he started saying about not being able to forgive me. But he would always say, you know, everybody needs to get over it. Like the stuff with regards to him, everybody needs to get over it. That was in 2011. We divorced. And to this day, he's still holding it on me. Now, this morning when this transpired, I ended up blowing up. And I ended up screaming out about what happened to me in Alberta. About being roofied and waking up in a garage, my clothes off, pantyhose torn. And I was hurting really bad down there. And when I told him today, I blew up at him. And he said, "What were you wearing, your tight pants?" And to me, that, you know, that like, I felt the part of me that just, I've even felt myself drawing back and just wanting to smash the shit out of him. I had rage, and there was parts of me that I just wanted to throw him through the wall. A rape victim goes through a lot. They go through shame, guilt, thinking that it was their fault because of what they wore, how they were as a person. And it's that part, you know, I went to my therapist today, and I could have told them. I could have told him, and he started hugging on to me. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't tell him because of the reaction I would have got. He said that I would have protected you. And it was that part, no, you wouldn't have. Because there was a number of times in 2011 when I went to Alberta, that was when I cheated on, not the first time. That was the first time I really went up to Alberta by myself. And I cheated on him because I was begging for him to help me get home. I wanted to go home. And all he did was holler at me. I was living in a basement underneath a man who was abusing his wife. I could hear him slam her to the floor. He was an alcoholic. He didn't want me living in a motel anymore because I couldn't afford it. So I went and I stayed in somebody's house. And then I ended up meeting a man, a nice man. Him and his family were really kind to me. He took me in his camper trailer. He wasn't using the bathroom in the camper trailer because it was in the middle of the wintertime, but he was allowing me to. He never tried to put the moves on me. His family bought me boots. They helped me. And I was trying to get my ex-husband to get me home. And I ended up giving the guy my engagement ring as collateral for the guy to lend me the money. And my ex-husband was mad because I never got the ring back. I sent the money up, but I never got the ring back. So the ring was more important to him than me. And he wonders why I have so much anger towards him. The universe, I know, threw us back together in the same place because neither one of us are able to move on. Because I would remain being a victim until I stood up. He's never physically harmed me. But he has emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And it's that part of, so I come home and I ended up telling him that I cheated on him. Then he called me a dirty whore, and I felt neglected. I felt unwanted, and I was looking for some place to belong. And when I went back to Alberta in 2020, as I said in my confession, in 2020, I was roofied, and I was living in a house with a narcissistic man, renting a room from a narcissistic man who told me I wasn't allowed to have a blanket up at a window that had one of those frosted glass windows. I told him that my ex-husband that I was setting traps for the guy to see if he was coming into my room. One day I felt really uneasy because he came in my room, and I ended up going behind a chair like this. And then I ended up, I went to karaoke one night, and that's when I got roofied. And then this morning when I told him, he blamed me because of what I was wearing. That's what rape victims go through. And that's why a lot of rape victims don't come forward. And I'm not just talking about men, or not just talking about women. I'm talking about men too. Because it happens to men too. And then he told me today that about women wearing makeup and everything like that. And, women wear makeup because, he even said that Men are very visual. Well, women can be visual too. This morning, I really hated him. Because this is the second time that I've told him of a sexual assault. And he put the blame on me today. He said that no matter what you say, I'll deny it. Where I live, I've been getting a cold shoulder from everyone. Because one of the ones that sexually assaulted me, my ex-husband, kept him around even though I didn't come out and tell him what happened. Kept him around, he kept defending the guy. Oh, well, he's autistic. And I have a feeling that, maybe I wasn't the only one that the guy sexually assaulted, because he was going and hanging out at places and I would hear the way he would talk to women. One day I was in the kitchen, in my ex-husband's kitchen, and I heard the guy telling this younger girl that he said he was seeing. He said he was going to come and he was going to take her out behind her car and he was going to fuck the shit out of her. And I even told my ex-husband that the guy was coming down into my place when I was not home, and how I knew that was because I was laying traps. And I told him, and he said, well, I confront him. But he kept bringing him into the home. Rape victims go through a lot of ridicule. And they're left scarred for life. And then he keeps saying about women. He's always saying about women. And then he says about, oh, you're about feminists. It's like, dude, every feminist, true feminist, okay, a true feminist is actually a woman able to be in her masculine and feminine, and a male actually being able to be in both their masculine and experience their feminine too. That's a true feminist. But he weaponizes the word feminist. She's who I look to. I encourage people to stand up for yourself, like for a system that leaves rape victims feeling like they're the problem. You wonder why the world is the way it is. Why women hate men and men hate women. Why there's so much anger between the sexes. I really wanted to throw him through the wall. I grabbed his shoulders and I said, you fucking asshole. I hate you. That's that part of, you might want to look at yourself and stop acting like you're all righteous and holy, because you're not. the guy that was being, that he was bringing here and taking him cigarettes and taking him places and stuff like that. I could tell him I didn't want him around. There was something. I was telling him when I was experiencing things. But he had the audacity. Today he said, oh, I would have protected you. You haven't protected me yet. I've been, me and Spirit, they've been protecting me. He tells me, you're crazy. You're fucking, I'm done with this psychotic shit. I even told him that I have strong reason to believe that his first wife was raped while he was gone, and he knows she wasn't. It's like, dude, do you ever wonder why she was the way she was? She felt unprotected too. And he had the nerve to hug me. And then we got going in the car, and he started taking my hand. And I had nothing for him. Nothing. And then he started talking about women again, and how like women should be protecting themselves and not wearing certain clothes. And it's like, dude, it's on you. It's on the man. Just because a woman dresses a certain way doesn't mean that she's looking for something. So it's like, dude, maybe somebody really needs to, like as you say about others, maybe somebody really needs to put a thumping onto you. See, he said about me not telling him. I did tell one person about that I had been having relations prior, like back in 2016, with this person that my ex-husband kept bringing here when I told him. Because, see, back in 2016, when I met the guy, I was taking him home, and he had a fit on his sister, and he took a pipe. He ran after her. She closed the door. He was taking the pipe, and he was shaking it. They called the police on him, and I was stupid. And then my ex-husband told me that for me to let the guy stay at my house because he had no place to go. I told him I didn't want to. We got no place to go. Same person. For years I tried helping him. I tried putting my feelings aside. And I kept getting angrier and angrier and angrier and wanting him gone, but he was wanting me gone. Because my ex-husband was catering to him and not listening to me. So do I have disdain for my ex-husband? You're fucking right, I do, and for good reason. This is why I've never had healthy relationships. And he said that I should learn to protect myself. And I know there's a lot of people out there that feel the exact same way. Because I'm feeling it. See, he needs psychological help, not me. He does not know what love is. And when he does have love, he pushes it away. but I could feel the spirits. I could feel that it was like God just wanted to drive him from here to Timbuktu. When he made me feel guilty for what happened. And then he said that because I'm going to the gym, I'm going with you. I stopped going for walks. I even told him you would help, like, clear my name. Because it's like, if you look at the thing of Mary Magdalene, what happened? They said she was a prostitute. She wasn't. She was raped. But the victim always gets blamed. It doesn't matter if you're a child. They say, we can't believe a child. It's like, you fucking morons. And yes, I do say fucking morons. And to my ex-husband's first wife, if you were raped, I feel for you. If you were trying to express to him, I feel for you. Because I've had visions of stuff. It's that part of, anybody who makes a rape victim feel like it was their fault. Fucking shame on you. And shame is the lowest vibration a person can get. He said that people should not enough recourse for that. Well, dude, you're the reason why there's not enough recourse for it, because you blame the victim. My channel's not for everyone. And he started this afternoon saying, oh, well, you got a disease. You're diseased. No, dude. I'm not diseased. You're fucking ill. You need help, not me. The only help I need is to show you for rape victims, sexual assault victims, sexual abuse victims. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, stand up for yourself. Stand up to that egotistical, self-centered, self-loathing bastard of an Uranus. Because it happens to men, and most men don't say anything because of the stigmata behind it. When they do, they're ridiculed for it. And if women take offense by me freaking defending a man who was raped, shake your fucking head. I see both sides. This is why the world is in pain. This is why it never stops. Because it's warped fucking point of view. You know, I didn't even tell my psychologist any of this. But what I did do was give him what my channel's called. Because therapists can write things down and get everything twisted and wrong. He's right when he said that the justice system protects the aggressors. But there were a few times that I told him that I needed him. I needed his help. But he never helped. Maybe he was a sexual assault victim himself and had that warped sense of humor, or not warped sense of humor, sense of knowing and understanding, sense of self. Because whether he likes this or not, he informed me that when he was 13, his friend's mother had intercourse with him. And that's not to make him feel shame. It's that part of, it's that warpedness. So it creates a hating for women. And then a hating for men. And a vicious circle that no one is able to heal from. If he takes offense to this video, I told him, why don't you watch some of my videos? You might learn something. He goes and he listens to Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson, sometimes he'll say about women. But hey, Jordan Peterson, look who you're backing. They have a hate on. It's like a loathing. And then he was talking today about more like women are the ones that go out and cheat. See, the thing is, because you start talking about women having babies that aren't even the children of the man they're with. And it's the part of, dude, a man can line up 20 fucking women in a row and get every one of them fucking pregnant. So it's that part of, my channel's spirit to spirit. So, to the spirit of my ex-husband that did that today, you really got a lot of inner work to do. And my ex-husband told me that when I go in my ship, take him with me. Like, when are we going? You ain't going. As long as you're like that, because, like, part of his spirit, pretty sure, was kicked off the fucking ship for this reason. But he says that I don't, like, he'll start saying about women, and yes, I do flash up because I am so sick and fucking tired of him saying about women and then saying, well, you should know better what men are like. This is what men are like. Well, then I guess that means you're like that too, because you're the fucking man who's fucking coming at me the way you do and trying to make me feel like I was the dirty piece of shit. Is a woman supposed to look like a fucking slob because a man can't control himself? Yeah. It's my Mary Trump book. Anybody know who Mary Trump is? Donald Trump's niece. And it's about Donald Trump.
She's a registered psychologist, and she says it like it is. She knows that man inside and out. Well, being his niece, I guess.
That was him. See, he'll defend her and say how great she is. If you want to be seen on live,
here you go. You can show to them.
See, I got it. Maybe this is both, because I got two of them. No, this is just one of them. The Reckoning. Our nation's trauma and finding a way to heal. Mary Trump, PhD, New York Times bestselling author. Too much and never enough. Thank you to the universe for getting this to me today. The back says, the most devastating and most vulnerable and all-around best Trump book since he started running for president. The most incisive rendering yet of why he is the way he is. It's a father. Father was the same way. A delicious tell all that does in fact tell all in a way one longs for a tell all to do. So maybe I'll understand my ex-husband when I read this, except he didn't rape anyone that I know of. Pretty sure he didn't. He may have defended different parts of women looking for it. But it's like, dude, you really need to do some inner work. Because you're really lucky that I didn't throw you through the fucking wall, because you really would have deserved it. And then I would have been charged. But, I had to hold back the fury that was brought up inside of me, because it was the victims of the spirits the spirits that were victims of rape. Dripping with Saturnus, vibration with rage, and glooming with clarity, a deeply satisfying read. Mary Trump compelling saga of one very unhappy family does more than just provide probing insights into her uncle's disturbing inner world. It's all a fast first-rate primer on the chaotic inner workings of an administration that has shocked the world. After many, many Trump books, this is an essential one. Vanity. It has, for the first part, Politico, Vogue, Curtis Reviews, Kirkus, the Boston Globe, and then the last one I read. After many, many Trump books, this is the essential one, Vanity Fair. Well, wasn't he like a definitely written account of cross-generational trauma? Mary Trump brings to this account the insider perspective of a family member, the observational and analytical abilities of a clinical psychologist, and the writing talent of a former graduate student in competitive lecture. The Washington Post. Mary's clarity, training, discipline, and sharp eye help her a reliable narrator, and she's a fluid, witty writer to boot. What she's written is likely to be undeniable. Bloomberg. Mary L. Trump comes closer than anyone to describing the making of a seamlessly heartless person who won his way to the White House. An insightful, well-crafted mirror. CNN. You can see why President Trump doesn't want anyone to read this thing. Los Angeles Times. And when I went to get The Last Tycoon, The Many Lives of Donald Trump, at a well-known bookstore, Indigo, not one copy anywhere. Not on their website anywhere. So some people like Trump, good for you. Good for you. If you know if you can see a narcissist, then you can actually see it anywhere. My ex-husband even told me, sometimes you gotta talk their talk. Kind of mirroring, but never likes it when I mirror back. So yeah, this past week has been a lot of shadow work. Dark nights of the soul. I haven't slept since 2:30 yesterday morning. Never slept all last night. Not because of this, but because there's a lot happening. And my body couldn't go to sleep. There's a lot of our own truths coming up to the surface. And that's why I encourage Don't lie about what happened. But bring your story forward. Whether anybody believes you or not. It doesn't matter how old you are. It happens. It happens to elderly people too. And a lot of the time, it happens to the ones close to you. And it's the ones closest to us sometimes. The ones we feel we trust. But we don't say anything about it. So yes, this morning, I felt that rage. And I felt the rage of a lot of spirits because, you know, it was like, you know, it was like parts of him wanted me to hit him. So you could say, see, she's psychotic, but I'm not psychotic. I'm fed up. I'm here to empower people, to be able to see that it's like, no matter what people say, it's okay to tell your story. It's okay, whether you're a man or a woman, because the right people will hear it. And the right people will understand. You push it down and push it down. And he said, well, why the fuck didn't you? Wouldn't have mattered if I had told you. You still would have downgraded me. And he would have. Because this is his second time in roughly 6 months that I've told him about a set that I've was sexually assaulted. The first time was in front of people. And this isn't to throw shame because, you know, some people just don't want to get involved. But you know what? When you're a witness to somebody talking to somebody who just told someone that they were a rape victim or a sexual assault victim, and you see them blaming that person, I'm going to be honest, you're no better than the person that just blamed a rape victim or sexual assault victim. What would you do if that was your daughter? What would you do if that was your son? What would you do if that was your sister, your wife, your mother, your grandmother, your niece? Seriously. I can tell when people don't like me because I get a vibration in my body. Because I feel that disdain. I feel those attacks. I sat with my therapist today and I told him exactly what I was feeling from him. Whenever, like, we talked. Whenever he had an epiphany. I told him I could feel that in his head. I told him I could feel his throat chakra when he wanted to say something. But he's a true therapist. He wants to work with me. He wants to know what he could do better with regards to therapy. So I guess I'm being heard, and I'm being seen as a person, not as a statistic, not as a mental health patient, but as a person worthy of being heard. I didn't come here to stand up for just women. I've been called to stand up for everyone that has undergone trauma, no matter what form, because it's happened to everyone in one way or another, whether it was this lifetime or a previous lifetime that has been passed down from generation to generation. And even today, I still don't really hate him. I hate what he said and the way he acted and behaved. Because I know that he's carrying his own demons. He's carrying his own shadows, his own dark nights. He's carrying his own traumas. Only he won't face up to them. And there are many people right now. They start coming to the surface. What happens? You keep pushing them back down. Because you're afraid of what others will say. You're afraid of the truth coming to light. The thing is, the truth is going to come to light, no matter what, whether it's freely or painfully. He said about the clawing in his guts. It's like, dude, I always got clawing in my guts. I never really have a break from it unless I move it. Say about the world is in crisis of mental health. Yes, it is. People look at the word spiritual growth as being something horrible or as another religion or what have you. Your spiritual health is you. Your inner self, your inner child, adolescent, and adult. And if you're a senior, even into your senior years, some people never heal before they die. And then they come back wearing the wounds. They come back as, a different form of consciousness, forgetting and going through things until you remember all over again, because you wonder why things are happening to us. We are victims only because we allow ourselves to be the victim. Because it's hard to look at our own stuff, but it's so easy to see others and point fingers. We always want to try to help others, but meanwhile, we're in pain ourselves. So when there is wrongdoing, yes, I do get enraged. And shadows, and spirit shows me my own shadows. But I know that as a collective, the rape victims of the collective, the sexual assault victims, the sexual abuse victims, really wanted to hurt him. Can't make you look. Can't tell you to face your demons, but until you do, those demons are going to keep coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back. It's because we punish ourselves for things that, we feel like we have no control over. We punish ourselves for what others do or how, and then we want to hurt ourselves sometimes. We want to hurt others because they hurt us. That's why I say, I forgive people. And right now, the only one that I haven't forgiven is my ex-husband. Sometimes I do look at myself as, was I a whore? Or was I a lost soul that didn't know how to climb its way out? Was I that little girl that was so angry because the one that was supposed to protect me left me for dead? Love can be very complicating. It can be very painful. But the love that you need to find is love for yourself. Nobody can find that for you. And that's the worst part of all. Till we love ourselves, we're never going to feel the true love from someone else. Because if they can't love themselves, then it's very hard to love others. We clench on. And we have a false sense of love. But when you have that healing, it's like we're not bleeding heart. Well, we're bleeding hearts, but not in that sense. We're bleeding hearts. We're bleeding for each other, and our hearts are healing. So it's that part of, man, start looking at yourself. Start hearing yourself. He told me that he didn't remember me going to Alberta in 2020 because he uses the reason of his memory. Those are excuses. because he was so fucking angry at me because he was the one helping me financially to be in Alberta. But yet when I wanted to come home, he didn't want to bring me home. Just stay there and get your medical treatment. I was alone. I had no money. I sat in a room most of the time. I knew nobody. But you know, cold-hearted people don't care, right? And they're cold-hearted people because all they want to do is blame everybody else for what they don't want to look at, or blame everybody else for what other people are mirroring at them because they don't want to look at themselves. I'm not all righteous. And if people watched, took the time, you would know something about me. But it's that part, man. To my ex-husband, it's time to clear my name. You know who they went to. You know who he talked to about me. Because I used to go to church and the people there, they were happy to see me. They talked to me, and unless nobody talked to me, they looked at me like I was a piece of shit. I felt it. I'm extremely connected with spirit. And if I'm connected with spirit, it means that I connect with everyone around me and everything too. It's time to wake up. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. And I'm not blaming others for my wrongdoing, the choices I made. But it still doesn't mean that I wasn't a victim of circumstance. It's not a matter of where you put yourself in the wrong position. That's just another blame the victim. It's the victim's fault because they put themselves in the wrong place. You're fucking anus. Uranus. Some will say, oh, well, that's not very ladylike language. Good. Because maybe it's my masculine speaking up right now. My true counterpart that would protect me. See, I would stand up to people for him, my ex-husband. But not once has he stood up for me. And that is exactly why I call him a coward. He will defend the person who sexually assaulted me. He'll say, well, I didn't know. Doesn't matter, man. My behavior spoke mountains. And you should have chose me over him. Because he was saying about how this guy would hijack his brain. Yeah? Was it that he hijacked your brain? Well, wait. You were always hollering. but you were blaming me because you kept him around? Seriously, dude. Spirit to spirit, and it's every spirit that's connected to him. If you haven't learned anything. See, I see his heart, and I know that he's been through shit. But he's a fucking adult now. I've told him time and time again. It's that part of man. When are you going to stop defending an aggressor and blaming everything on the victim? Because you're a victim yourself, but you're also an aggressor. And you hide behind a facade and a mask. You want to go away and call a lawyer? Just remember, all my shit is out there. Find me a place. Because I thought things, if I came here, I thought, things would be different. But you kept the guy coming around. I did tell one person that I had been active with the guy in 2016. And they looked at me, what? Him? But I didn't tell him the other part. Because I too was of the mindset that everyone deserved help. When people go without getting help, it goes right down the line. So if people want to look at me and think one thing or another, or think, oh, well, you just want attention, fuck no. I want to bring awareness and tell everybody else it's time to heal. It's time to speak truth. It's time to stand up for yourself against the tyrant, the bully. And it's a system that keeps the stigmata going. Because it doesn't protect the people. Because I've seen and heard of so many people who have been victimized. And there was no protection for them. They just went inward and festered, become angry, resentful, and hateful towards the opposite sex, sometimes even the same sex. Sometimes resentful to family members because they felt like they were not protected. Whenever they asked for help or the only time, and I didn't even really know about it. But when I was raped when I was 9, it wasn't until a year later my parents found out. The guy was 19 and he got 2 years probation and had to see a psychiatrist. And 7 years later, he tried to do the same thing to my cousin. Only this time, from what I was understanding, there was something, maybe, I don't know, she was pinned to a doorstep or something when they come home. But whether they did anything or not, I don't know. Because the guy kept coming around, and then I had somebody tell me that a couple of years ago that the same cousin asked them if they wanted to have sex, but use the word want to fuck or something like that. So did he learn anything? No. 2 years probation and seeing a psychiatrist did diddly fucking squat for him. And why didn't it? Because there were no real implications. People say, well, they put them in there and then they release them. Yep. But what do they do while they have them in there? Nothing, right? And then, they come out and they're even more angry with whatever sex it was that they sexually assaulted or raped or abused. I bring the topics of the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff about ourselves, about the world and others. Because there are parts of us in many different ways. But we always want to point fingers at other people. But like my cousin said, there's always 3 pointing back at you. So Donald Trump, when you're going like that, just remember. Or anyone that points a finger. And I know that there are people in this room, in my life, that just didn't like me saying about Donald Trump. And there's more of those Donald Trumps out there that are hiding within the system. Because it's called abuse of power. The ones that people look up to. The victims a lot of time are never believed because it's usually the ones that are being the victimizers are in a position of power. A position of authority. This is your truth and reconciliation. This is the part of what a true confession is. Confession's not all about the wrongdoing. It's about what you've gone through and experienced too. Where should I? I have slipped the surely bonds of earth and touched the face of God. I'm going to leave it there. And with that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, and brave. Most importantly, be yourself. Be your authentic self. Be true to yourself and others. Be kind to yourself and others. And know that you have more strength than you can comprehend at times. So stand up, speak your truth, and take back your power. Send you all love. Que le pokore sire totoi.